What is 30 too old for? What quietly went away without anyone noticing? What were you bullied for? Eczema, which often affected my face. I was called a biscuit head because my head was shaped like a biscuit. That feels like next level mean. I don't know. Being the small kid. Well, just stop being small. Easy. To this day, I really don't know. Something happened in the summer between 2nd and 3rd grade that made a bunch of people decide that they didn't like me anymore, including my best friend. I only had 2 friends left until my family moved away in the middle of 7th grade. Bullies would follow me home most days, and my mom finally had to verbally Super Saiyan a few parents down the street to get them to take it down a notch. I finally asked one of them what I ever did to them, and they said, "You were born." How do you even respond to that statement? I just got a sharp pang after seeing that phrase again. What possesses kids to be this evil? Glasses, red hair, and freckles. Opie, howdy doody, and redheaded stepchild jokes all the way through school. I do not understand the redhead hate, because I think red hair is really cool. Having a big nose. Funny thing is, as an adult, I told people that I was bullied for my big nose, and I get, "You don't even have a big nose." So confusing. I didn't know it at the time, but for being autistic. What's the most boring sport to watch? I would say pretty much all of them, except I do really enjoy baseball. Little League T-ball when your kid isn't up. Well, for my parents, it was boring either way because I was just sitting in the outfield picking the flowers. Microsoft Excel World Championship. Not a joke, this is real. Pro fencing is actually not very entertaining. They're so fast that you have no idea what happened. So it's a couple of people with swords bouncing back and forth for about 30 seconds, something happens, and then it's over. Golf is great background TV to sleep to. It does help that they make onlookers stay silent lest they be shot. Surfing. Hours of contestants just bobbing around the ocean and commentators trying their best to fill the gaps in action. I still watch almost every major contest though. I suppose that can be pretty boring, but did you see Surf's Up? I saw a drone racing on ESPN the other day and I was like, what the hell am I watching? Fishing. I guess watching it is a little boring. A sport I thought would be boring, but I love to watch drunk? Curling. Gets me more hyped than anything. I'll be sitting there yelling, "Brush the f*** out of that ice!" I always forget that curling exists, like in general. Esports when you don't play the game they play. At least for me, that's not entirely true, because I did watch Overwatch League, even though I've played that game like twice, and it's fun to watch. A boxing or MMA fight with 2 defensive fighters. Nothing more boring than watching 2 people just circle one another and actively avoid doing the one thing that everyone is paying to see them do. Any sport you don't understand in detail. Volleyball is just watching people jump around keeping a ball in the air. You don't really need to know the details to enjoy watching it. As a cyclist, cycling. It's really cool to learn the technical parts and strategy of the sport, but I get bored watching people pedal for hours only for the real action to start a few miles away from the finish line. What gets more hate than it should? Black cats. Black cats are some of the cutest, most goofiest kitties ever. I love them. They are really cute, but I have known plenty of black cats that just love getting up to mischief, going out alone. Solo traveling is freaking liberating. Sure, I get a little lonely, but there are no schedules, and you can randomly stop if you see something even slightly interesting. Donkeys. Those poor fellas just be chillin', doing menial work, and not disturbing anybody, and for some reason the term came to mean as someone who's utter incompetent and stupid. It really isn't fair. Those little guys are just so cute. Hobbies. Let people like things, even if you find it childish or stupid or highbrow. Just because you dislike something doesn't mean you have to look down on people who enjoy it. Crows. I can understand slightly just because they're a little noisy and obnoxious, but they are really smart and they can be useful. Not wanting to drink. When you tell someone that you don't drink, most of the time they act like you just told them you juggle heads in your spare time. Definitely the weirdest part of our culture in recent years is that we shame people for not abusing substances. Nuclear energy. It's very safe, but a couple of massive disasters due to gross negligence, and also the fact the word nuclear is involved, has given it a bad image to the point where people just assume it's dangerous and a bad idea. Tell you what the bad idea is sticking to fossil fuels. While I see your point, I can't help but think of a fallout future. Being single. Everybody acts like it's the worst thing in the world, but if you you content with being on your own? It's really not. It's actually quite relieving to not have the responsibility of another person. I 100% agree with what this person's saying, but I am starting to get lonely, so I don't know if I want to be single anymore. Being an adult and liking things that are considered childish. People get so much hate and get told to grow up. Listen, I didn't get to enjoy my childhood. Let me enjoy things. Let me play video games. Let me watch animation. Let me buy that Tamagotchi. It's not hurting anyone. What does no one look good wearing? Fedora with safari flaps. Even if the guy at the store says you're the only guy he's ever seen pull it off. It's always a lie. Never believe them, they just want your money. Shutter shades. I still can't believe that those were a trend at one point, and I did try them, and no, I did not look good. Dimitri Martin explained it well. I saw a guy wearing a leather jacket and thought, that is cool. Then I saw a guy in a leather vest and thought, that is not cool. And that's when I realized that cool is all about leather sleeves. You see, he had me there for a minute, but no. A shirt that says FBI, female body inspector, ankle monitor. Lindsay Lohan was pretty hot with hers in like a trashy Y2K way, not gonna lie. Neckbeard, the mullet of the face. I've never heard it described that way, and I guess I see it. Hospital gown. Okay, but you haven't seen me in a hospital gown. That ugly cape you have to wear when getting your hair cut. Those capes will humble you real quick. I always end up looking like a man from the Elizabethan era in those things. Never mind that I'm a woman. That one Dwayne Johnson outfit. A girl can't even wear a turtleneck and jeans with a cute necklace unless she wants to feel like the MF Rock. What famous person essentially canceled themselves because they couldn't stop being stupid? I mean, in fairness, what famous person hasn't? Azalea Banks. She was projected to be the next big female rap name in the early 2010s after her 212 song exploded, and her EP received widespread acclaim, getting universal praise for her lyricism and style. But the woman is a literal sociopath. Rihanna was ready to take her under her wing, and she completely sabotaged that relationship so fast. Chick is a maniac. Ezra Miller. It's a little insane how much stuff they've done, yet they're still gonna get to be in the movies probably. Antonio Brown. I think he's a football player. I'm not super familiar with NFL stuff, so I don't know. Steven Seagal was an a-hole on the sets of the most dreadful B-movies, and he still supports Putin and his weird propaganda about denazifying Ukraine. Such a strange hot dog man. Kanye. Yeah, there it is. Knew he'd show up. Andy Dick. Hopefully it sticks this time. Chevy Chase. Real effort behind this one. That guy has put decades of work into canceling himself. Shane Dawson. Every day I live in fear because he is in my state, and if I run into him, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Charlie Sheen. He wasn't getting canceled, he was winning the whole time. Chris D'Elia goes on television apologizing for his sex addiction and blah blah blah, all while texting underage girls. Face crack of the century on that podcast when he finds out how Snapchat blue text works. I just watched a video on Soulja Boy. Pretty stupid human being who couldn't stop doing illegal crap. What do people claim they do, but in reality they don't? Reread personal notes after a conference/convention. Everyone's doing it just to look busy. We should definitely make plans and get together sometime. I never know when someone's serious about this. Is it just an expression people use, or am I the bad guy for not following up on it? It's definitely gotten trickier in the past few years, but you're not really the bad guy, but you also could be. A shocking amount doesn't wash their hands after using the restroom. Have we learned nothing since 2020? The research. I'll have you know I do my own research. I scroll through Twitter and see headlines. Read the terms and conditions. The terms and conditions are not meant to be read, they are just meant to be accepted. They put LOL when they probably didn't actually LOL. Not to be a hypocrite. We're all hypocrites in cute ways sometimes. Floss. I just don't like sticking my own fingers in my mouth. That's what other people's fingers are for. I am fine. No, you're not. You can't just lie to my face like that. Tell them I said hi. Of course, I sure will absolutely do that. Proper hygiene. Some people swear they clean, but you can smell the stench and tell they're liars. I don't know how people go without showering because I feel disgusting after a day without showering. What was the most overrated TV series of all time? Grey's Anatomy. I mean, how many series did they milk out of that show? The Curse of Oak Island. They build up the conclusion of each episode so much with conjecture and folklore to excite you only for the outcome to be very minimal and unimpressive. Holy shit. A piece of wood from 1704? We are finding the treasure tomorrow! I have absolutely no context for what this show is or what it's about. Another thread best sorted by controversial. Bob's Burgers. Yes! I remember watching the first episode thinking this is stupid AF. Well, this won't last. Here we are years later. I remember liking it when it first came out. Not a huge fan now, but I did not expect this Simpsons level blow up. Breaking Bad. There are definitely better shows, but you can't deny Breaking Bad is good. The White Lotus. I mean, I keep hearing nothing but good things, but I don't have HBO, so I can't really watch it myself. No one better come for The Office. It's trash. It's good for what it is, but it did go a little too long. If you're saying Breaking Bad, I'm guessing your favorite shows are ones like Gilmore Girls or some lame modern sitcoms. Breaking Bad is a masterpiece from beginning to end. Whew, you must be fun at parties. Community. I've tried so many times to get into it, and I just can't. It took me a little while to warm up to it, but once I got into it, I started to really enjoy it, which is not a great way to sell a show, I realize. South Park. I'm sorry. Seinfeld. I wouldn't say Seinfeld is the best sitcom ever, but it's got merit. Might get hate, but South Park. How so? It's one of the better adult animated shows. For as long as it's run, it does have some ups and downs. Stranger Things. Hear me out. It was made in 2016. Why didn't people obsess over it back then? You can always delete a comment. No shame, dude. God, I want to know what they said now. Squid Game. Watched like 4 or 5 episodes. Never finished. Don't care. I mostly enjoyed it because I have a goopy goblin gamer brain and anything involving games and death is cool to me. NSFW. Who is the sexiest fictional character? Aragorn. I mean, Viggo Mortensen is a handsome looking man. Poison Ivy. As a homosexual, even I can't deny Poison Ivy is, stupid sexy Flanders. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Had a crush in Kim Possible. The goth chick was way sexier than Kim. Her name was Shigo. If you're gonna talk about her at all, at least say her name. Can't believe no one has mentioned Morticia Addams. Man of culture. And also the rightest person in the room. Henry Cavill as The Witcher. He's dirty and gritty, and that voice? If the rumors are true that Henry Cavill's leaving The Witcher, I don't know how they're gonna save the show. Cheryl Tunt. Oh, from Archer? Okay, yeah. Mrs. Incredible. Duh. I mean, hey, Pixar knows how to make a mom. Chun-Li. The first lady of fighting games forever. Thick thighs save lives. Esmeralda from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. That girl is gorgeous. Aunt Cass from Big Hero 6. Chell from Road to El Dorado. Good lord. Shigo from Kim Possible. That's the lesbian answer anyways. You know, not gonna lie, a little criminal nobody said Bowser. What is a movie that sucks but everyone else loves? Forrest Gump. Agreed. Never did anything for me either. But I'm not very fond of Tom Hanks, so that probably also has something to do with it. Princess Bride. Pulp Fiction. Are you young? I can understand why people born after 2000 wouldn't like it, but it's a cult classic that was way ahead of its time. I also can't watch Citizen Kane or Ben-Hur without falling asleep, but I can see that they were brilliant someday when, just not my time. Interstellar. Why is this even tracking and sort of controversial? It's a terrible film with such a wanky, love is the greatest power of all ending that felt like an insult to the audience. Alright, Liz, I hear your point, I see you. Shut up. It's a Wonderful Life. Ugh, worst opinion I've ever seen on this website. Are you sure this is the worst opinion you've seen? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other bad ones on Reddit. The Matrix. I thought it was overblown philosophy when I was in high school and felt vindicated with each subsequent installment that everyone tried so hard to justify. People that read way too into the deep stuff of The Matrix are a little ridiculous. They're just fun, cool action movies. Who has the best rock voice of all time? Say what you will about the man. Sebastian Bach has a hell of a voice. Ann Wilson of the band Heart. Lane Staley. All of these names are making me realize I don't know much about rock music. Freddie Mercury, Robert Plant, Steve Perry. Feel like Perry never gets the credit he deserves. Robert Plant, Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. Freddie or Dio. Is that a JoJo reference? Janis Joplin. Steve Perry from Journey. Come on, people! It's Roy Orbison! Hands down. Had to explain what a cassette is today. What was common growing up that's now obsolete? My 16-year-old nephew was excited to show me the used car he bought. It was an early 90s model. When he insisted that I get in and start it, the battery was dead. I gave him a jump, and as soon as I hooked up the cables, his headlights came on. I had to remind him that back when this car was made, automatic headlights were not a thing, and you have to manually shut them off every single time. I gave him my jumper cables, knowing he would need them again soon. I have a car from 2016 and it's still manual headlights, so I think automatic is like a luxury. Removable faceplate car stereos. I did have one of those and I was told to always take it out and put it back in its case, but I never did. The DVD logo bouncing around the screen and changing colors. Why was that a thing? Was it supposed to be like a screensaver so you didn't get burn-in from movies? The computer room. Yeah, now that's just become my room. Walkman, Discman, iPod. As cool as they were, it is very convenient just having the MP3 player built into your phone. Be kind, please rewind. VHS rentals were a bit before my time, but I understand it. I had to explain to my 9-year-old what postage stamps are today. Not obsolete, but close. The fact that you had to record shows or wait for them to re-air on TV if you missed it. Truly dark times. I'm glad we have everything on demand. Blockbuster Video. As obsolete as it is in today's society, I really want Blockbuster to come back, please. Rotary telephone. Just try to explain one to a teenager today. LOL. Having to tear off the sides of something you just printed. What is that, like a dot matrix printer? VCR. I really want to get some VHSs since my CRT has a VCR built into it, and I know I just said a lot of letters and I'm sorry if I confused you. Ashtrays in restaurants, thankfully. Still so silly that we had smoker sections in buildings as if the smoke wasn't just gonna fill up the building. What's a food you hate that everyone else loves? The cheap frosting on cupcakes. That's the biggest reason I can't eat cupcakes. The frosting is always too sweet. Baked beans. We grew up poor. I never much liked them, but we had them a lot when we were kids. Eating something you don't care for over and over and over isn't enjoyable. Pumpkin spice flavored things. I don't like the pumpkin spice flavor at all, honestly. Sweet pickles. Pickles should never be sweet. Pickles should not exist in my opinion. Coconut. I like the flavor, just not the texture. Hard-boiled eggs. The smell absolutely disgusts me. I can't be in the same room when they're being prepared or even eaten sometimes. Edit. This blew up and I'm glad I'm not the only one who dislikes them. Beets. I think I can safely say I have never once in my entire life eaten a beet. Meatloaf. I've tried many from different people. Tastes nearly the same. It's either just a drier or greasier version of each other. Matcha anything. It goes against my white woman nature, but it tastes like dirt to me. Americans, how true are American high school movies compared to real life high school? At least from my time in high school, not realistic at all. Most high school students don't arrive to school early enough to tailgate in the parking lot. No, I did have some kids do that. Different enough to warp the expectations of certain people. Someone up Thread said that movies are designed by Hollywood execs to fill story niches and archetypes, which is pretty accurate. We're watching a story that has to be carefully crafted to fill the expectations of all the audience members, and the audience expects Reese Witherspoon as prom queen, Bill Gates as captain of the chess team, Jack Black's the clown, and Brad Pitt's the quarterback, even though that doesn't actually happen. There's more truth in Napoleon Dynamite than there is in Bring It On or Mean Girls. Cliques are less well defined. Yes, there are friend groups, but each one does not fit into a stereotype that cleanly, and members hang out and intermingle with other members. It's almost like these students are real people and not caricatures. We constantly had random choreographed dance numbers at my high school. That sounds exhausting. Think of the cardio health though. I was a little disappointed after seeing High School Musical that there were not in fact musical numbers happening daily. I'm gonna take a guess that people don't settle disputes with dance-offs. Well, how disappointing. In my experience, there were way less bullying. You can be part of multiple cliques. There were many hot girls in band. Gym class was fun. I thought some parts of Superbad were relatable, specifically the one scene where Michael Cera was locked in the room at the party with all the older guys, for me at least. No family eats breakfast together before school/work. I mean, hey, they probably exist, just not our families. Most people aren't that attractive. Most people aren't in their 20s. Most people don't discuss sex as much as Porky's, American Pie, etc. High school is not always the best time of your life, despite what some people claim. It's been said a lot, but the people who think high school was the best years of their lives clearly peaked. In my experience, the cliques exist, but they aren't at war with each other. Individuals fight, and their friends will take sides, but it's not perpetually clique versus clique. Not very true. Life is more boring day in and day out. People are also definitely more serious about school if you live in a well-populated area. What is the lie you tell yourself most often? You know, I think I'm gonna start going to the gym. I'll do it tomorrow. I have delayed stuff for months and some of them are things that would take me like 30 minutes to do. Just one more episode. By episode, you mean season. That in 5 minutes, I'll start studying. That tomorrow, I am going to exercise. She might be interested in me. Update? She wasn't. Everything's gonna magically be alright at some point. While maybe not magically, it will get there. That I'm okay being alone all the time. I'll stop scrolling Reddit in 5 minutes and go to bed. Some say they're still scrolling this very minute. I won't trust anyone anymore. No matter how hard you try, you'll accidentally trust someone. I will eventually get my shit together and everything will work out. That I own my cat, and he doesn't own me. This is why I'm not a huge cat person. Like, are you okay? Are you being held hostage? What's a trend amongst Gen Zs you find weird? Documenting themselves committing crimes, then posting them to social media. The self-reporting is a little crazy. They film everything. I mean, documentation isn't the worst thing in the world. Filming everything and the need to add -core at the end of every clothing aesthetic/style they rediscover, lol. Gen Z here. Romanticization of mental illness or crime. The true crime crowd definitely scares me. Broccoli haircut will definitely age like milk. Using Snapchat to text message using pictures of their foreheads and the ceiling. I will admit I do this exact thing and I have no explanation. My daughter uses the word aesthetic to mean nice. Example, that's so aesthetic. WTF? I will say that's probably the bigger problem with Gen Z is a lot of words keep losing their meaning. As a Gen Z myself, I find trying to diagnose ourselves with a mental disorder pretty weird. I've never done it and I would never do it, but I know some people who do it just for attention and stuff. Pretty annoying for people who are actually suffering, in my opinion. Finally, I can ask this. Why do a large amount of Gen Zs not use capital letters? Is capitalization going the way of cursive writing? It's probably just a byproduct of online culture in general. TikTok, just in general. Hate talking on the phone to anyone. I hate talking on the phone because I'm never sure if they can hear my breathing, so I end up holding my breath and it's a really uncomfortable position. The return of the mullet was an upsetting time for me, I'm not gonna lie. My son's middle school is filled with mullets. I think mullets are fine, but if we start seeing rat tails, we know we've gone too far. What film have you seen dozens and dozens of times? I think I've watched La La Land multiple times every year since the movie came out. Starship Troopers, Groundhog Day, but it only took 1 hour and 41 minutes. Shrek. Shrek is my go-to comfort movie. I could probably play it in my head if I wanted. Jurassic Park. Must have seen it 50 times and I still hide behind a pillow when the T-Rex comes. Spielberg really knows how to build the tension. Goodfellas. Once you start, you can't stop. Hot Fuzz. I know it's good. I know it's good. I'll watch it, okay? Shawshank. The Shawshank Rule. If you come upon it while scrolling channels, it shall not be passed. You just got Shawshanked. I'm sorry, scrolling channels? You still have TV? The Truman Show. I had it on VHS. I know. And genuinely couldn't even ballpark how many times I've seen it. Not enough to break the VHS, so you should get your numbers up. Rush Hour 2. Alright, interesting choice. What quietly went away without anyone noticing? Acid rain. It was a huge environmental issue in the late 70s through the early 90s. Rain was acidic and damaged fertile areas, among other things. In the US, there was much research done and eventually industrial regulations were put into place. Companies were allowed to decide what approach they chose to take as long as the results showed the appropriate amount of reduction in sulfur dioxide emissions. Unfortunately, positive news doesn't sell, so news outlets did not do justice to reporting this success. As we went into the 2000s, hardly anyone remembered what was done. I remember hearing about acid rain when I was younger, but I never experienced it. When you turn off the TV, how the image would shrink to a dot before slowly fading away. Waterbeds. And kind of thank God, because they were just a hazard on so many buildings. Facebook poke wars. I am glad that I missed out on that. Traveler's checks. You know, I never thought about those, but I guess with our money being mostly digital, it doesn't matter anymore. Flash mobs. And for that, I'm forever grateful. Actual toys in cereal boxes and Cracker Jack boxes. I understand it was a choking hazard, but come on. Stumble upon. I remember all my classmates and my mom used to use it years ago. After a quick Google search, it looks like some kind of search engine of some kind, maybe a social media trivia thing. What is 30 too old for? I'm 32 and wondering if it's too late to learn how to skateboard or if it's cringe if I even try. I'm in the best shape of my life. No reason to hold back now. Not much. It might not feel like it right now, but the world is your oyster at 30. Listen, you get lower insurance rates on car insurance and on rental car insurance, so I'm already jealous. Not knowing basic survival skills and relying on someone to do it for you. Example, cooking, laundry, people's bullshit that was tolerated when younger. Definitely a little too old for that. Sneaking up on someone. I was just trying to sneak up to my wife who had fallen asleep in her chair, and the sound of my knees popping blew my cover. Me, who just turned 30, actively scrolling through here taking notes, hoping to see that getting a college degree isn't listed. Living your life for other people's happiness. Nonsensical family members. Blood can definitely be dud. Leonardo DiCaprio. You missed your chance by about 5 years. Sleeping wrong. Let's just say any age is horrible to sleep wrong. Alright, and looks like I'm out of questions, so it's time for me to go. Thank you all once again for watching. My name has been Brandon, and I will talk to you another day. Bye-bye. Ooh.